Hey, folks. Welcome to the Internet Roundup. That's Josh. I'm Chuck. We do the Stuff You Should Know podcast, and we invite you into the studio each week to look at what we find interesting on the Internet.
Yeah, this becomes our Internet clubhouse.
What are we starting with this week?
We're going to start with a classic Internet thing.
Yeah, it's Throwback Thursday.
I guess, but on a Monday.
And we're recording on a Wednesday.
Right.
So there's nothing Thursday about this.
It all works out. Back in 2005, 10 years ago, Chuck.
Crazy.
A guy named Robert Ryang took The Shining and cut it together to make a trailer that made it appear as if it were a comedy, a romantic comedy.
Yeah, a lighthearted film. And I think if you're going to try and do that using the song Salisbury Hill, there's no better way to do that from the great Peter Gabriel. And I remember seeing this thing years ago and thinking it was genius. And apparently the guy even ended up getting some work as a trailer editor because of this.
Yeah, he won the 2005 Association of Independent Creative Editors Trailer Park Competition.
Wow.
And yeah, became like kind of a sensation.
It's pretty cool.
And the one we're about to see was recut by a YouTuber named TheLateGreatGrahamChapman, and he recut the whole thing in HD. So it's what we're going to see is kind of an homage.
Oh, I thought it was the same one.
It's a frame-by-frame recut in HD because the original one wasn't in HD. The YouTube.
Frame-by-frame recut.
So let's check this out. It's either a blast from the past for you, or if it's the first time, you're going to love this.
Meet Jack Torrance.
I'm outlining a new writing project.
He's a writer looking for inspiration.
Lots of ideas. No good ones.
Meet Danny.
Mr. Torrance.
He's a kid looking for a dad.
There's hardly anybody to play with around here.
What's up, Doc?
Jack just can't finish his book.
I don't want to sound melodramatic, but there's no way to make it economically feasible.
Here's to 5 miserable months.
But now, sometimes what we need the most is just around the corner.
I'm your new foster father.
I'd do anything.
Climbing up on Salisbury Hill,
I love it.
I could see the city light. My heart going boom, boom, boom. Son, he said, grab your things, I'm gonna take you home.
Shiny.
Wow. It doesn't get old.
No, it never will.
And a lot of people jumped on that bandwagon and recut a bunch of movies. The idea is to cut it into something that it's not, like Willy Wonka as a horror movie.
Right.
And I see another one, Stephen King's It, as a family film.
There's one, Sleepless in Seattle, is like a psychological thriller where Meg Ryan is a stalker.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So who's the original guy again?
Robert Ryang.
Hats off to you, sir, for starting a true internet sensation. All right, and next we have a really cool story. I found this yesterday, and it warms the cockles for sure, because a man named Dan Stevenson in Oakland, in the Eastlake neighborhood, in 2009, he's not Buddhist, he's not religious even, but he purchased a 2-foot stone Buddha and installed it in a median strip in his neighborhood it's kind of a rough neighborhood, lots of prostitution and drugs and garbage dumping and graffiti, and it had a pretty profound effect.
And what's crazy is it worked to an extent. It said Dan Stevenson said, and this article's from SF Gate, he said that he just kind of put it out there with a little bit of hope. Yeah. But I don't think he was expecting, what he got. Like a huge reduction in all the different types of crime going on there. The dumping stopped, and it attracted actual Buddhists.
Yeah, they actually got some crime numbers. Since 2012, crime in that block has dropped 82%. And the cops are even saying, I don't know what it is, but I don't think they wanted to admit that this simple thing caused such a stir in the neighborhood.
It's so strange that it would, but I mean, it's had this effect.
Yeah.
And they found out, or I guess the neighborhood found out, that Dan Stevenson was the one who installed this Buddha.
Yeah.
And like they started leaving offerings on his front porch of like sweet candies and fruits and stuff like that, which he said was pretty awesome. But there was so much of it he couldn't eat it all.
It's pretty cool. It's become some tourists are even coming by to see it now, and it was attempted. Someone attempted to steal it at one point, but he had epoxied it to the ground so well that it didn't budge. And then I think the county was going to remove it, the Public Works Department of the city, and they there was such an outcry. They said, "Oh well, we'll just look into it," and then they just kind of brushed it under the rug.
Yeah, they said they'd table it for later study.
Which is not going to happen.
And the Public Works Department got involved because apparently there was a complaint from a neighbor. And I would guess that has something to do with the 7 a.m. morning prayers and music that takes place every morning.
I think it's lovely.
At this Buddha statue.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that is happening again in the Eastlake neighborhood of Oakland, 11th Avenue. And hats off to you, Dan Stevenson. I've been taking my hat off a lot today. You got anything else?
That's it, man.
All right. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see everyone next week on the Internet Roundup.